Have you ever found yourself watching your child and wondering, is this just normal behavior? Or is there something more going on? Maybe they struggle to focus or get overwhelmed by the simplest things. Maybe they don't respond the way you expect when interacting with others. You might even feel like you're juggling between two worlds. One where your child's behavior seems to point to ADHD, and another where it feels like it could be autism. It's confusing, isn't it? Well, you're definitely not alone. So many parents have the same question. And the truth is, autism and ADHD, while different, can look a lot alike at times. But understanding the differences between these two conditions is key, not just for helping you as a parent, but for providing your child with the right support they need to thrive. The good news? There's hope and there's clarity. Today, we're going to unravel those questions and give you a better understanding of how to navigate these two complex but unique conditions. Let's get started. Hi there, and welcome to Parenting Beyond Labels. If this is your first time here, we're so glad you found us. Our mission is to provide you with the support, insight, and practical advice that makes your parenting journey just a little bit easier. If you're a parent of a child who might be neurodiverse, you're probably no stranger to the challenges that come with understanding their behavior. Today, we're going to break down the real differences between autism and ADHD. We're also going to take a look at where these two conditions overlap and how you can tell them apart. But most importantly, we're going to arm you with the knowledge you need to better support your child, no matter which of these challenges they face. It's not about diagnosing or labeling. It's about finding out how you can best help your child thrive, feel understood, and build the skills they need for success at home, at school, and in the world. Here's what we're going to cover today. 1. The key differences between autism and ADHD. 2. Where they overlap and why that can make things tricky. 3. Practical tips and strategies you can use at home to help your child thrive. So grab a comfy seat, take a deep breath, and let's jump into this journey of understanding and support together. We're in this with you. Before we get into the video, I would love you to check out these books titled Autism Positive Parenting and ADHD Positive Parenting for Boys and Girls by Sharon Davin on Amazon, and other recommended books with the link in the description below. Let's start by understanding what we mean when we talk about autism and ADHD. We'll break each one down to give you a clear idea of what's going on. Autism is often referred to as a spectrum because it encompasses a wide range of behaviors and characteristics. Children with autism might experience challenges with social interactions, communication, and repetitive behaviors. Autism can also affect how they process sensory information. Some may be hypersensitive to sounds, lights, or touch, while others may be under-responsive. The thing is, no two kids with autism are alike. Some may have very little verbal communication, while others might speak fluently but struggle with understanding social cues. On the other hand, ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder that primarily affects attention, impulse control, and activity levels. Children with ADH might find it challenging to focus on tasks, control their impulses, and stay still for long periods of time. You might see them jump from one thing to another, acting on impulse without thinking about consequences. It's also important to note that while ADHD is often linked to hyperactivity, not all children with ADHD are hyperactive. Some may primarily struggle with attention and inattention. Now that we have a clearer idea of what each condition is, let's talk about how they differ in terms of behavior. This can really help us spot the signs and better understand what's happening with your child. One of the biggest differences is how children with autism and ADHD interact with others. Kids with autism often struggle with social interactions. They might not make eye contact, may have difficulty understanding emotions or facial expressions, and could find group activities overwhelming. They may prefer to play alone or stick to routine activities that make them feel comfortable. On the other hand, children with ADHD can have difficulties with social settings too, but for a different reason. Their social struggles often stem from impulsivity or inattention. They might interrupt others during conversations, forget to take turns, or seem like they're always on the go. They typically want to interact, but may do so in ways that appear inappropriate or out of sync with social cues. When it comes to communication, there are also distinct differences. Children with autism might not speak at all, or they may have delayed speech. They often have trouble understanding verbal and nonverbal cues, such as body language and tone of voice. For instance, a child with autism might not pick up on sarcasm or jokes, and they may take things very literally. Children with ADHD, however, may talk excessively or have trouble staying on topic. Their speech can sometimes seem rushed, and they might struggle to organize their thoughts. They may also speak out of turn, interrupting others during conversations because of their impulsivity. The way children with autism and ADHD focus or get distracted is another key difference. ADHD is all about inattention and hyperactivity. Kids with ADHD may jump from task to task without completing them or get distracted by the smallest things around them. They might find it hard to sit still or focus on schoolwork. Children with autism, however, may appear focused, but their attention is usually narrow and fixated on specific topics or interests. For example, a child with autism may spend hours organizing objects or repeating the same activity over and over again. Their attention is intense, but often on specific things that interest them, rather than being able to switch focus easily, like kids with ADHD. So why do these behaviors happen? Well, it all comes down to the brain. The way a child's brain processes information can vary greatly between autism and ADHD. In autism, certain areas of the brain may develop differently. For instance, the social and communication centers of the brain might function in ways that make understanding others more difficult. The sensory processing areas of the brain can also be overactive or underactive, leading to sensory sensitivities or a lack of response to certain stimuli. In ADHD, the brain has difficulty regulating attention and impulse control, mainly due to differences in the frontal lobe and executive function areas of the brain. This can result in the impulsive behaviors and difficulty focusing that we see in children with ADHD. While both conditions are related to brain development, the areas that are impacted differ, which is why the behaviors look so different. Now that we've covered the basics of each condition, let's talk about where they overlap. You might be thinking, wait, so if autism and ADHD are so different, why do they seem to share some traits? It's true. There are a number of overlapping characteristics, and that's part of what makes it tricky to tell them apart. For example, both conditions can involve difficulties with emotional regulation. Children with autism might have meltdowns when overwhelmed, while children with ADHD might act impulsively and struggle with emotional control in social situations. Both can also have issues with executive function, such as planning, organizing, and completing tasks. Children with either autism or ADHD might struggle with transitions from one activity to another, or find it hard to stay on task without getting distracted. Because these traits overlap, it's easy for parents, teachers, and even doctors to confuse the two. The difference often lies in the underlying reasons for the behaviors, which is why it's so important to get an accurate diagnosis. Now let's talk about the tricky part, diagnosis. Both conditions are often diagnosed through observation and parent reports, and sometimes it can be difficult to tell whether a child has autism, ADHD, or both. It's possible for a child to have both autism and ADHD at the same time. In fact, studies show that a significant number of children with autism also have symptoms of ADHD. This is known as a dual diagnosis, and it can complicate things further when it comes to treatment and support. The process for diagnosing autism or ADHD usually involves a thorough assessment, which can include interviews with parents, behavioral observations, and sometimes standardized tests. But because of the overlap, some children may be misdiagnosed or have a delayed diagnosis, which means they might not receive the right kind of support right away. So how do these differences play out in everyday life? Let's take a look at how autism and ADHD affect your child at school, at home, and in social settings. Children with ADHD often struggle to focus on schoolwork, follow instructions, and sit still during lessons. This can lead to academic challenges and sometimes behavioral problems, like interrupting class or becoming easily frustrated. Children with autism might also struggle in the classroom, but for different reasons. Sensory overload, difficulties with communication, and challenges with social interactions can make school a difficult environment for them. For example, loud noises or bright lights might be unbearable for an autistic child, causing them to become anxious or upset. At home, children with ADHD might be constantly moving, finding it hard to settle down for dinner or bedtime. They might forget chores, lose things, or disrupt family activities with impulsive behavior. Autistic children may find it challenging to adjust to changes in routine or unexpected events. They might have a favorite activity they want to repeat over and over, or they may become upset if their routine is disrupted. Social settings can be tough for both groups. Kids with ADHD may struggle with impulsivity and not realize how their actions affect others, while kids with autism might want to interact but not know how to do so in a way that feels natural. Finally, let's talk about how to best support children with autism and ADHD. Each condition requires different strategies to help them thrive. Creating a sensory-friendly environment is key. You can do this by setting up quiet spaces, using noise-canceling headphones, or providing visual schedules. Predictability and routine are important, so try to keep things consistent at home and school. Social stories can also be really helpful to prepare your child for new situations. Children with ADHD need structure. Try to set up clear routines, use visual reminders, and break tasks down into smaller steps. Movement breaks are essential, so incorporate physical activities during the day. Consistency is key. Having a set routine will help your child feel more secure and less likely to get distracted. I'd love to hear from you. Have you found yourself wondering if your child's struggles could be linked to ADHD or autism? Or maybe you've already received a diagnosis and are navigating how to best support them. Whatever your story is, feel free to share it in the comments. It's a safe space here for us all to learn and grow together. Please kindly subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our content. So to wrap things up, let's take a quick moment to go over what we've covered today. We've explored the key differences between autism and ADHD, including the unique ways each condition affects your child's behavior, communication, and daily functioning. We looked at how children with autism might struggle with social interaction, communication, and sensory processing, often becoming overwhelmed by sensory stimuli or needing more structure in their routine. Meanwhile, ADHD presents in children as difficulty focusing, staying still, and controlling impulses, making it harder for them to sit through school lessons or follow instructions. But we also explored the areas where the two conditions overlap. Both can involve emotional regulation struggles, difficulties with attention, and challenges with executive functioning. This overlap can sometimes make it tricky to tell them apart. But understanding these differences is key to providing the right support. And remember, the journey doesn't end here. Both autism and ADHD require different strategies. And as we discussed, getting the right diagnosis and support can make a world of difference in helping your child succeed. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more content like this. We're here to support you through every part of this parenting journey, and we've got plenty of tips and resources lined up just for you. And if you're interested in making your home more accommodating for your neurodiverse child, be sure to catch our next video on creating sensory-friendly home environments. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. It's packed with simple, effective ideas that can make a huge difference in your daily life. So hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when that video goes live. And while you're here, feel free to check out our other videos linked right here on the screen. We've got a whole library of helpful content, and I'm sure you'll find something else that speaks to your needs. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to share the next video with you.